Monday, 24th of June 2024. In this one of Staring into the Fire, I want to talk about democracy and patriotism. It seems to me that the two are no longer compatible. There is a major problem in the Western world. We see that good values, common decency, respect, those things, there's no room for it. And on top of that, it has been manipulated by evil people so that democracy is now suddenly in a place where it dictates what it sees as free speech. There are basically rules and regulations that want to even control your thoughts. Listen to what Socrates said many years ago.
Great thinkers, Socrates' prediction of the fall of democracy must fall because it will try to tailor to everyone. The poor will want the wealth of the rich, and democracy will give it to them. Young people will want to be respected as elderly, and democracy will give it to them. Women will want to be like men, and democracy will give it to them. Foreigners will want the rights of the natives, and democracy will give it to them. Thieves and fraudsters will want important government functions, and democracy will give it to them. And at that time, when thieves and fraudsters finally and democratically take authority. Because criminals and evildoers want power, there will be worse dictatorship than in the time of any monarchy or oligarchy. Socrates, 470 to 399 BC.
Now, unfortunately, the people that should really pay attention to what is going on are educationally so constrained that they cannot really grasp what is happening. If we look in South Africa, there is a lot of people now that are claiming patriotism. Malema sees himself as a patriot. Now, think about it for a moment. A true patriot cares about his family and his country. That is what he cares about, and is willing to give his life to protect that. We saw that during the Anglo-Boer War. Those were true patriots. They left their farms, their businesses, their family, and went to fight the British. And many of them lost their lives, and many of them came back to nothing. What they had before the war has been destroyed. Their families was killed. That is what they got as a reward for being a patriot. Now today we sit in a situation that patriotism is beginning to rear its head all throughout the West. We can see what is currently happening in Europe on the elections there. With patriotism comes conservatism and tribalism. Now I'm going to say it again. If I say tribalism, I'm not referring to a fucking thing with a bone through the nose. Get that into your mind. That is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to tribalism as the basic foundation blocks of people's existence. That is what it is. And today we have the advantage of intelligence and education to understand how to manage the tribe to the benefit of the tribe. That is what you must keep in mind. And what we are seeing now in South Africa is very disturbing. We are being bombarded with this bullshit about democracy. Where is the democracy if a coalition in KwaZulu can claim to have formed a government, but it excludes the biggest party? How is that democratic? Tell me, how is that democratic? Then we see what's happening in Gauteng. The ANC lost pants down in Gauteng. And yet, this is the thing that really fucking blows my mind. On national basis, I can understand the call for a GNU. And it makes sense in a way. But all of a sudden, this fucking GNU thing is in all the provinces. How the hell does that work? The people has voted. They rejected the ANC. But all of a sudden, this fucking GNU thing is all over the show, and suddenly, that ANC retains power. Look at Lesotho, how he acts. He refuses to include the opposition parties, which are actually the majority, to include them in the top political positions. What does that tell you? The ANC has got a major problem as we sit here today. They have lost the majority vote in the country. That's what happened. And there's now a hell of a lot of their deployed cadres that has lost their positions. And the ANC is frantically trying to retain as much of the lost positions. Because those cadres that has lost their seats, you must understand, a lot of them got those seats because of either favors done for the party or favors still to be done for the party. Nothing to do with merit, it's favors, but democracy is what they claim. Now the true patriots will have to understand that they will need to stand up and say, stop! Because these politicians, and they're all the same, they're from the same control body. They just wear different colors, but they are all there for the money and the power. I look through messages that I got that stipulated the remuneration packages of politicians. It is fucking obscene and insane. The amounts of, basically all the senior political positions makes the guys instantly a millionaire. And then you get a thing like that guy that is now the mayor of Joburg. What is that guy's education? What is that guy's IQ? Yet he's in charge of the biggest metro in the country. What has happened to South Africa? Even animals will not allow the dumbest one or the weakest one in the pack to lead the pack. Will not happen. Why? Because the animals know the whole pack will go over the cliff if they've got a weak leader. So it is really important that you think about this. Malema is now running a campaign to destroy Orania. Now you must ask yourself the following questions. Why does they not learn from Orania and apply it in their own communities? Why not? Because Orania is a clear example of what happens if you've got clean governance. No. Destroy Orania. Just as the black majority of the country has destroyed our industrial base. Today they are happy. The manufacturing sector in South Africa has been fucked and the raw materials goes out of the country. And I listened to the president of Sierra Leone and she says, in a month, the globalist corporations takes $100 million worth of resources out of Sierra Leone and they sell it on the world market and they pocket the money and they pay $10,000 back in the form of taxes and levies. Let that sink in. They take $100 million out and they pay back $10,000. That is why that country stays poor. The same shit is now happening in South Africa, where under the apartheid regime, we had a strong industrial base and we did not export our raw materials. The raw materials were at least processed through 1 or 2 processes here in South Africa, providing millions of jobs. Now, between the ANC and the EFF and their shenanigans with the trade unions, they managed to destroy that industrial base. So if you look at the Richards Bay and you look at Maputo, and you go and look down in the Cape, Port Elizabeth, you will see trucks full of raw material, dug out of the ground, loaded on a truck, shipped off to another country. They will process it and make the money. But this is what these blacks have managed to do to South Africa, and in the process created an unemployment figure of 45% and 64% for the youth. Now, you must ask yourself, are leaders like Malema, is he a patriot? No. He's a XXX puppet, because XXX wants the raw materials. They want nothing to do with the country. They just want the raw materials to make the money. And the millions that are unemployed doesn't bother them. But now we have a major problem, and it shows in Gauteng. The infrastructure that was not maintained for 30 years has now finally collapsed. So millions of people in Gauteng are struggling with water. You must ask yourself, how will that ever be fixed? How? Because the corruption in the process is so massive. In the old days, if a pipeline was needed, a tender will go out and suppliers will tender to provide the pipes, and the tenders are scrutinized by intelligent, knowledgeable, loyal people. They will buy at the best price for the government. That's what they do. So the government gets the pipes at the best possible price. The pipes are manufactured in South Africa, so millions of people are employed to deliver that to the government. Then, one of two things happened. Either the government has got its own work teams that install those pipelines, or it will go out on tender for a private corporation to quote, to do the installation, and once again, the best price will get the job, and that contract will include severe penalties for late deliveries and performance and quality control and all of that. I know, in my previous life, I had government contracts, and if you were making 8% profit, it was a very good deal. But today, and I can have examples and I can show the proof of what I'm going to say now, but I know a guy that manufactures something that the government uses a lot. He wants 45 Rand for each product that he produces. But he cannot get the order from the government because he's not connected and he is not black. But they need the things that he makes. So in steps the tenderpreneurs. The tenderpreneur places the order with him. He gets his 45 Rand, which he wants, to have a good business. And that tenderpreneur sells that 45 Rand product on to the government for 275 Rand. So there's 230 Rand that goes to the tenderpreneur. Yes, obviously, he's now going to pay a lot of people in the government that made sure he got the tender. But we, the taxpayers, we bought a 45 Rand product for 275 Rand. without tax money. Now, if that makes sense, please write in the comments here how it makes sense. But that is what black people need to take into consideration before they get emotionally whipped up by people like Malema. The problem is, the Malemas of this world never create anything. Never! Yes, they create and accumulate for themselves, but for the country, never. So don't come with cuck and tell me Malema's a patriot. He's a terrorist, actually, because he is living in luxury, while you, the guys that are doing the things that he wants you to do, like destroying buildings, destroying shops, destroying buses, destroying things, you get nothing from it. You are poor, you're uneducated, and you have no future because you're unemployed. Time to think about this. Think what a true patriot is. And I'm telling you again, go and study what the Boere did when the British tried to steal our country. The Boere fought for the country. Now, ask yourself, has Malema ever fought for the country? He's not even capable of fighting for the country. But a lot of you see him as a potential president. What the fuck is that? But the reality of today is that the country is in a desperate situation. Most importantly, you must understand that the country is bankrupt. The country is bankrupt. The ANC is has run out of money. They have stolen so much over the 30 years that the country is broke. We've got a massive debt load. Tax base is shrinking every month. Businesses are closing down. Just go and walk in the shopping centers and see how many shops are closed. That's what you must look at. And what you must understand, in the late 80s, early 90s, I went through a period like what we are cruising into now. Economic collapse. You have to think about these things, because if you are a patriot, you will be concerned about your children. But if I look at what Malema is now doing, I mean, go and look on Twitter, go and look on Facebook. It's all over the place. They're all over Ronaldo Goos. Why? What did he do wrong, actually? He only said the same things that Malema said. He just changed the races. Malema, his thing was declared as a struggle song, part of the culture. What Goos says, well, just reversing the races. He is now facing criminal charges and most probably jail time and things like that. And you, black keyboard racists, you may cheer of what is happening to Ronaldo Goos. But you must understand, that monster that you are feeding is the monster that will eventually devour you. He's going to eat you too. Don't forget that. Please give me a like and subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.